Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are going to give it just another few minutes for more folks to join on. We had almost 2,000 people register for today's town hall. So we appreciate your patience and we will begin momentarily. All right. In the interest of time, we are going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you to everyone that has taken time out of your day to join us. See, we have about 520 and growing by the second in attendance here today. And I know we had thousands of people register. So we want to try to make this as informative and helpful as possible. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. First of all, as always, we are recording this workshop and everyone will receive a copy of that recording. So if you have to step away or you lose track of what's going on, not to worry. Again, everyone will receive a copy of everything we say here today. That said, if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to put those in the Q&A. As you might be able to see on the top or bottom of your Zoom screen, there are several of us on today's session. I'm joined by my colleagues from our incredible expert support team. These folks work day in and day out with borrowers like yourselves to help them navigate the process. So we have Ryan, our director and leader of our customer support team, as well as Dylan, Katie, and Rafa, who will be trying to answer some of those questions in the Q&A. We can't guarantee that we're going to be able to answer all of them. Again, we've got a ton of people on, but we're going to try our best. And then if you need to enable any closed captioning or live transcription during the webinar, please see a link in the chat with instructions on how to enable this feature. All right, a quick look at the agenda that we're going to cover here today. I'm first going to do some brief introductions of myself and who we are here at Savi for those that might be new. And then we're going to dive right into why we're here today, which is to give everyone an update on the latest in the land of student loan policy, specifically focusing on the recent news around collections resuming on defaulted loans. We're going to break down exactly what that means and what that could mean for you. So we'll get into those details in just a bit. And then we're going to run through some of the most common questions that we've been seeing as a result of some of these recent policy updates and make sure that everyone is on the same page. And then we'll share some concrete next steps that you can take to get started or to make sure that you are in a good place and on track for whatever that better outcome might be when it comes to your student loans. All right, so my name is Lindsay Clark. I'm the Chief Borrower Advocate here at Savi. And that means my job is to make sure that I am creating the best possible Savi product for all of you to use when it comes to your student loans. But more importantly, in scenarios like this, it means that I am advocating on and for you all for a better student loan system. Yesterday, I spent the entire morning actually at the Department of Education giving public testimony and comment as part of their official negotiated rulemaking process. They have solicited commentary for input right now on the future of programs like public service loan forgiveness and income-driven repayment. So I was able to present to the Undersecretary of Education in person, advocating for why these programs not only need to continue to exist, but how they can be made better. So that's an example of sort of the role that I play, in addition to hosting town halls like this, where we want to try to communicate to all of our borrowers the most important information they need to know right now and any actions they need to take. And again, I could not do this without the incredible team that's also on the call here today and all of our team here at Savi. Now, just in case you are new or less familiar with Savi, we are a social impact technology startup, small but mighty, based in Washington, D.C., and we were founded by student loan experts and advocates who've been fighting on behalf of the borrower for more than a decade. We saw how borrowers were being neglected and wronged by the system, how they were experiencing harmful outcomes when it came to trying to take advantage of certain programs, and so we decided to do something about it. So we developed Savi as a technology platform and a human service to help borrowers like you and like me. I'm a student loan borrower myself. Help us better navigate some of these really complicated government programs. But along the way, our goal is to make the experience of being a student loan borrower a better one, because I think we can all agree it's not great. So we try to do that by identifying as much additional savings as possible on a month-to-month basis through things like income-driven repayment plans, and providing you with one-on-one personalized support with real humans and real experts who can help answer your questions and navigate that path forward. At Savi, we like to say that borrowers and not their student loan debt are our top priority. We don't make money off of servicing your student loans. Our priority is you, the person with student loans, not actually that student loan debt. And that means that we're going to try to help you achieve the best outcome possible, whatever that may be. And that's why we are able to do things like this here today, because all of you have access to Savi through either your employer, association, union, membership organization, which has decided to partner with us to provide you access to Savi as an exclusive student loan benefit. We work with some incredible organizations across the country that we're really proud to support their community of student loan borrowers. And one thing that I just want to make everyone aware of is that this benefit is not just for you, but it is for any family members that may have student loans. And now more than ever is an important time to make sure that the information that you receive here today, you're paying that forward, especially to anyone in your family. And so we're going to show you how you can invite your family and friends to take advantage of Savi as well if they have student loans. All right, so now we're going to dive in to the policy updates portion of today's presentation. This is really why we're all here. We are definitely going to focus on this recent collections and default news, but there has been a lot of movement. What seems like every day things are changing. And so we're going to do a general recap of where things stand right now across the board. All right, so first and foremost, let's start with what is going on with income-driven repayment plans. So the SAVE plan, as a reminder, this was the most recent income-driven repayment plan that was introduced by the Biden administration last year. This is still on hold, okay, due to injunctions in the courts. Borrowers that are enrolled in SAVE were automatically placed into an administrative forbearance, meaning they have no payments due and they are not supposed to be accumulating interest. That interest should be 0%. Now, borrowers already enrolled in SAVE, and at this point, about 8 million people had enrolled, will remain in forbearance while these lawsuits are ongoing. They can switch to another repayment plan if they are interested and eager to start making payments again, or they can remain in that forbearance. But as a reminder, these SAVE forbearance months don't count as qualifying payment months towards public service loan forgiveness. So if you are trying to pursue public service loan forgiveness or are already enrolled in pursuing it, you will not receive credit for these months of forbearance that you are enrolled in the SAVE plan. However, you do have the option to purchase retroactively credit for those months that are spent in forbearance and deferment through something called the PSLF buyback program. And our team has an incredible and helpful Help Center article that goes through and explains what that program is and how you can apply. So if anyone has questions, they can put those in the Q&A, but that is an option for someone who is pursuing PSLF and interested in purchasing back those months in which they were in forbearance so that they can get them counted as credit towards public service loan forgiveness. I will say this, though, that would only be applicable to people who are at 120 qualifying months of employment. So if you haven't been working for a qualifying employer for 120 months or at least 10 years, you wouldn't be able to submit that request yet. So for someone who might be 2 years in, that's going to be something, that won't be on the table just yet. And so other options like switching into another income-driven plan might be better for the short and immediate time being. But across the board, other income-driven repayment plans, including PAY, ICR, and IBR, are available to enroll. The application processing, all right, was recently resuming for the first time after being put on pause since February of this year. So they're just starting to turn that all back on. So borrowers can enroll, they can switch into a different program, but you should be aware and expect application processing delays when enrolling or switching plans. So what might have taken, less than a month for you to hear back and for that payment to, begin on that plan now may take 2-3 months for you to actually be able to switch or enroll into a new income-driven plan. And that's, again, where the Savi tool and resources and support team come into play to help make sure we're monitoring your situation, that you don't miss any payments as a result of any processing delays and things like that. But that's sort of where things stand as of right now with income-driven repayment plans. All right, next up, let's talk about some of the executive orders that have come through in the last month or so related to student loans. In March, President Trump signed an executive order to begin dismantling the Department of Education and essentially shift key responsibilities to states. Now, just as a reminder, fully dismantling the Department of Education requires an act of Congress. So he was not able to do that through an executive order. That's not the implications of what that order would be and what they are. Essentially, that order instructed Secretary Linda McMahon to take every step within the law to begin dismantling the department while ensuring continued delivery of what are called essential services. What are those essential services? Well, those include student loan management, income-driven repayment applications, and public service loan forgiveness. So those aspects, anything that would really impact you and I and all borrowers on a day-to-day basis, are still being managed by the Department of Education. But again, because of this order, as well as significant reduction in workforce at the Department of Education, these all do have implications for you all as borrowers in that they are going to increase wait times and processing delays, and they reduce system reliability, meaning what we saw in the last week or so was borrowers who logged on to their studentaid.gov account and did not see the payment tracker that had been there before. Perhaps that may get put back up, but this is not the first example where normal things that might have appeared on that site, sources of information, et cetera, have either been taken down, hidden, things like that. So that reliability of being able to access certain information is not what it was before, even despite the fact that these programs remain in place. So those are something that will definitely have a tangible material impact, on you as a borrower day to day. And I'm going to talk a little bit later on about new features Savi has developed to make sure that we can help safeguard any of your student loan information. So we'll get to that just a bit. Okay, another executive order that came out in March was related more specifically to public service loan forgiveness. This was an order that he signed attempting to limit or alter the employer eligibility criteria for the public service loan forgiveness program. So he tasked Secretary Linda McMahon with drafting new regulations to redefine the definition of public service, mainly with the intent of excluding any organizations that are aiding and abetting violations of immigration law, quote, supporting terrorism, contributing to gender affirming care, or engaging in a pattern of, quote, violating state laws. And so by tasking Secretary Linda McMahon with drafting new regulations, this process of developing these new regulations has officially begun. And the first part of that process is soliciting input and commentary through this negotiated rulemaking process. And that's what I did yesterday, was part of that process in providing that input so that when they do draft these regulations, hopefully that will not be a part of it. And we can ensure and maintain the integrity of public service loan forgiveness. But in the meantime, again, just as a reminder for everyone, the eligibility terms for public service loan forgiveness and the program itself were signed into law by Congress in October of 2007, meaning no executive order can substantially change the program. It can only be done through an act of Congress, whether that be an amendment or new law. So again, President Trump cannot alter the Department of Education rules governing public service loan forgiveness with just an executive order. So again, they have begun the process of drafting new regulations. That will be a slow and lengthy one. So nothing about this has made any material impacts or changes overnight. But again, it's something that we are actively participating in to ensure that the integrity of the program is able to be maintained, and that, if anything, we help to increase and expand access, as we know it's been a difficult program for many to navigate on their own. All right, moving on, let's talk about the impact of late and missed payments. So starting in January of this year, if you missed a payment, were late on a payment, maybe by 1 month, 2 months, you can now incur some of the severe consequences or penalties that you would have incurred prior to all of those being put on pause when the COVID payment pause began in March of 2020. So it's not that these are new necessarily, it's that these have been on pause since March of 2020 and were never reinstated and are now officially being reinstated. So some of the penalties or impacts that you could incur include impacts to your credit score. Even one missed payment can be reported to the credit bureaus and therefore impact or lower your score. Delinquency. This is a status that occurs after you have missed 3 consecutive monthly payments. And then default. This is also a status that means that you have missed 9 consecutive monthly payments. Okay. And once you go into default status, that may trigger collections activity that we're going to talk about in just a second, including wage garnishment and things like that. It would also mean, once your loans go into default, that you have lost any access to federal loan benefits until your loans are brought back into good standing or rehabilitated, right? So these started in January of this year, all right, where you would start to see any reductions on your credit score potentially as a result of missing payments, right? And we're going to talk about on the next slide this recent news, and the deadline of May 5th involving resumption of that collection activity. But most importantly, if you're struggling to make your monthly payment, or you're behind or have missed payments, be proactive and use Savi for help in getting back on track and finding your best repayment options. This is what we're here for. It's oftentimes, not an ideal scenario, when a borrower is coming to us in a state of panic. But that's the reality for many student loan borrowers. And that's the role that Savi was designed to play. Not just help you under the best of circumstances and help you maintain and check those boxes. it was to be that lifeline, advocate, and resource when you need it most. So please, please, please take advantage of the Savi tool and our team if you think you need help and are unsure of how you can get those loans back in good standing. Which brings us to the main topic of why we're here today on this town hall, which is the recent news out of the Department of Education that collections are resuming May 5th of this year. Now, when this news came out, I heard from so many borrowers who saw the word collections and thought, oh my gosh, does that mean I have a payment due May 5th? And these were borrowers who were in perfectly good standing on their loans, were already enrolled in a program and making monthly payments. Okay. So all to say that the idea of collections resuming and a deadline jolted a lot of borrowers into a state of panic. And I will tell you from conversations with folks across the Hill and regulatory and policy agencies, that was somewhat of the intention with this news. All to say, we're going to break down exactly what it means and what is resuming May 5th so you can be clear on how this impacts you and what you need to do. So they announced that these collections on defaulted student loans will resume after being paused for more than 5 years. They were paused again because March of 2020, when the COVID payment pause went into effect, not only did that pause payments and interest, it also paused these collections. Now, these collections on defaulted loans are what are called involuntary collections, okay? And I'm going to walk through the 3 different types of involuntary collections that are involved. But all to say, you can only be at risk of experiencing involuntary collections if your loans are in default. And again, if you are in default, that would mean you've missed 9 consecutive monthly payments. Okay, so default is a specific status. It's not just being late or behind. Default is a status of those loans that you are put into once you have missed 9 consecutive months. And once you're in that default status, it then opens you up to potentially these involuntary collection methods. So there are 3 primary involuntary collection methods, and these are what will resume May 5. Again, for borrowers whose loans are in default and only in default. Number 1 is wage garnishment. This means they will garnish up to 15% of every paycheck. They send a notice to you and they send a notice to your employer. Your employer is the one that will be forced to actually process this garnishment. I will tell you folks, honestly, I've worked with several borrowers over the years. It was actually pre-pandemic pause. So this was before March of 2020. And the process, once that wage garnishment goes into effect, the process to try to reverse it and get out of it is nearly impossible. It requires almost going to court essentially to reverse that order. And in fact, the borrowers that I worked with who were experiencing wage garnishments, all of them, not just 1 or 2, all of them were actually forced to quit their jobs because they could not afford to remain employed because of the garnishment. They said, I'm going to have to go find something where I'm getting paid cash on the side where the government and my employer is not taking 15% of that paycheck. That, I am telling you, is a scenario and a collection you want to avoid at all costs. Again, the administrative burden and the complexity and the requirements to try and reverse that once it's started are very intensive and difficult and can take upwards of a year or more. Again, while that wage garnishment still remains in place. So 15% of every paycheck is a big deal, especially when we know many people are just struggling to put food on the table right now. So to me, that is one that I want to do anything and everything I can to help anyone on today's town hall, but all of our borrowers avoid. Another type of involuntary collection is tax refund withholding. That means if you receive a tax refund after submitting your taxes, that will immediately get taken, won't even go into your bank account. It'll immediately get taken and go right towards your loan balance. Okay. And that'll happen every year until the loan is paid off, or unless you rehabilitate and you get enrolled in a repayment plan. And then this last one would be a reduction of Social Security payments. They will essentially garnish your Social Security if you are on it, same way they would your wages, to put that towards your student loan payment. For those of you who are unaware, the student debt crisis is one that is not a young person's or a millennial issue. In fact, the fastest growing demographic of student loan borrowers is ages 50 plus. And it's why we work and partner with AARP. We put on webinars where the majority of borrowers are ages 60 plus and have over $100,000 in student loans, and are on limited or reduced incomes, much of which is dependent on Social Security payments, and they will go after those as well. So these three comprise what they call involuntary collections, okay? And again, those are subject to, or you are subject to those if your loans are in default. So as part of this announcement that they're going to turn those back on starting May 5th, the Department of Ed has said they're going to begin notifying borrowers that would be impacted by these collections. So it's most important right now. If you aren't sure what state your loans are in, or maybe you think you might be in default, again, we're going to show you how you can actually check that before, but keep an eye on your inbox, because if you know you're in default, you should be receiving a notification from the Department of Education confirming that status before May 5th. All right. Now, how do you avoid delinquency and default? Well, one of the most common things we see here at Savi is many borrowers who are actually in default don't know they're in default, especially because collections have been paused for over 5 years. They haven't heard anything from the Department of Ed, a collections agency. They've heard nothing or seen no attempt by anyone to collect on that debt. So if it was me and I had heard nothing for 5 years, I'm thinking they've stopped coming after it, right? It's done. I don't have to think about it. They're not going to come after me now. It's been 5 years and I haven't heard a word. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So we have many borrowers, again, who are actually in default, who don't either know it or think it's no longer at risk of going into collections. And then we often see borrowers who are not in default, but think they might be because either they haven't been making payments due to a forbearance. Maybe they've been in the SAVE forbearance, and have been on that administrative forbearance, not making payments, and hear news like this and worry, well, maybe that means I could be in default because I haven't been making those payments, right? So all to say, we understand that news like this can be confusing, but at the heart of it is understanding where you currently stand and what status your loans are in. You can see the current status of your loans on studentaid.gov. And I'm going to show you screenshots of exactly where in just a second here. You can also call your loan servicer. Okay. If you know you've fallen behind, all right, so if you know your account is past due, you maybe have gotten a letter, from your servicer indicating so, or you've logged onto your servicer account and it says there's a past due amount, you could face penalties now after May 5th. You might be a month away from that ninth, consecutive missed payment. And so after May 5th, again, once you've hit 9, you could now be subject to those involuntary collections. So, enrolling in an income-driven repayment plan can help to lower those payments across the board and help you to return and, most importantly, stay in that good standing. And as a reminder, you can explore all of your income-driven repayment options and submit those forms instantly through your Savi account. And those Savi Essential or Pro members can get access to additional one-on-one help and support with our experts as well. All right, so let's break some of these things down and go through some frequently asked questions that I think will be helpful for everyone going forward as to what they can do and any action they might or should be able to take. Okay, so where can I check the status of my federal student loans? All right, so the easiest way to check is by logging into your federal student aid account at studentaid.gov, okay? And we will put this, I'm going to put this link in the chat right here so that everyone, studentaid.gov. All right, that is the Department of Education's official website, your federal student aid. You may need to reset your password or username if you have forgotten it and haven't logged in a while. That's the account that you would have created when you took out the loans in the first place. It's called your FSA ID, that login. So you're going to want to log in there. And through that account, that is record of any federal loans or grants that you have ever received, okay? But you will be able to review all of your loans under the My Aid section and then view your loan breakdown to see the current status of each of your loans and if they are currently in a repayment plan or in default. So you can see here, again, once you've logged into your account, this is that main dashboard page. You can go down here to the My Aid section, okay? You can also access it from the top right-hand corner. And then it'll show you your loans and loan breakdown. And right here, loan status, that's what you would be looking for if it is in default. Or otherwise, it would say in repayment and show you that plan. Okay. So that's where you can check, first and foremost, again, to see if you are in that default status. Or if not, that's a good thing. But if you are worried you might be at risk or soon to be in default, we're going to talk about what you should do next, right? What are my options if I am in default? So if you've logged into your student aid account, you see that status as in default. So when loans go into default, there are two programs or options for borrowers to bring their loans out of default and back into good standing. And those are loan rehabilitation and loan consolidation. Now, I will say this about each of those two programs. You can only do them once to bring your loans out of default. Meaning, if your loans have gone into default before and you have used loan rehabilitation or attempted loan rehabilitation, and now they're back in default, you cannot rehabilitate again. You would be forced to do loan consolidation and vice versa, okay? So that's something important to keep in mind. And again, this is where Savi can help you to identify which of these two might be best for you to pursue based on any of them that you have pursued in the past. So let's start with loan rehabilitation. So loan rehabilitation means that you will agree to pay a reasonable monthly payment for 9 months within a 10-month period. Your loans will then be considered after that 9 months is over in good standing. Your credit report will also be updated to remove this period of default. If your wages are being garnished, completion of this program will remove you from garnishment. Okay. Now, one of the things I just want to point out here is that you want to make sure, again, that if you've done this rehabilitation before, that this won't be an option for you on the table, and you will have to go with loan consolidation. However, another implication is that you need to commit and make those payments every month for 9 months. Okay. So it's going to take a longer amount of time for you to rehabilitate and get out of default. But once you complete those 9 months, it also means that that period will be removed from your credit report. Now, loan consolidation is a much quicker process, almost like a get out of jail free card, if you will, where you simply complete the consolidation application online at studentaid.gov, just as you might normally would, let's say, if you had a loan type that you needed to consolidate to be eligible for one of the repayment or forgiveness programs. So you're basically just completing that process, consolidating. You'll need to agree to pay your new consolidation loan under one of the new, or I should say existing income-driven repayment plans. However, the period of default will remain on your credit report. So there are pros and cons here. Besides any implications of you having done either of these before and therefore limited in what you can do going forward, loan rehabilitation means at least 9 months, committing to making those monthly payments, but it's removed from your credit report. Loan consolidation means you could do it instantly. You could do it today. Okay. It takes about a month for that consolidation to process. However, that period of default will remain on your credit report. And again, oftentimes the choice between these two can come down to if they've pursued or done one or the other before, right? And that's really where Savi, again, can help you to identify whether or not you've done either of those and what option would be ideal or your best one going forward in order to get those loans back into good standing. Okay. What do I do if my payment is too high? Right? And we hear this all the time from student loan borrowers. Again, if it is too high, right, and you want to see how you can lower that payment, you can use Savi's personalized repayment estimator to explore other repayment options. We recommend enrolling in an income-driven plan to get a lower and more affordable payment and ensure those payments count towards programs like public service loan forgiveness and income-driven repayment forgiveness. After entering your information in the Savi application, right, we show you what those options could be across the board, and even show you, how far away you may be from getting those loans forgiven based on your eligibility. So again, if you want to better understand and see what your payment options are at this point in time, going through the Savi tool and completing your Savi application, answering those short and simple questions will allow you to get a quick look at what your options could be. Can I still enroll in an income-driven repayment plan right now? The answer is yes. While Save is on hold, okay, so anyone on Save is still in forbearance, you can enroll in any of the other income-driven repayment plans, Pay, IBR, and ICR. So if you are in Save and you wish to switch into another plan to start making payments, you can do so. If you're not currently enrolled in an income-driven plan, you can do so. And as I'd mentioned earlier, servicers are expected to start processing all these applications for borrowers within the next 2 weeks. They were on pause. That processing was on pause since February when the Trump administration came in to office. So you should expect longer than usual processing times, but you are able to apply now for those programs. Again, Save still being on hold. How can I apply for those programs through Savi? All right. So when we do show you those options, right, for income-driven repayment and forgiveness on the plan options page of your Savi account, you can then either choose to submit those applications on your own, absolutely for free, right? Or if you've upgraded to Savi Essential or Pro, we do it all for you with the click of a button. We pre-fill and digitize those applications. We send it to you for easy digital signature. You can take care of both income-driven repayment application as well as public service loan forgiveness employment certification forms. So we make that very easy. Again, you can do this all for free. You can apply for programs for free on your own, and our DIY plan will provide you with those instructions. But given the complexities of what's going on, especially the longer wait and processing times, through Savi, an Essential or Pro member is able to do that instantly. And we're able to then track and monitor the progress and status of those applications with you to ensure they achieve the desired outcome, to ensure we hold your servicer accountable, that they are processing it correctly and giving you the right payment amount each month. All right. Generally, can Savi help me with my loans? So just to recap, after entering that information, right, our goal is to show you those personalized options. And if you need more personalized assistance, again, you have the option to upgrade to either Essential or Pro for that one-on-one support. We can help resolve loan servicer issues. We know plenty of people experience this often. We can answer any question you might have, and we can help keep you on track for forgiveness. Most importantly, right now, if you're in default or nearing default, all right, or think you might be nearing default, or worried or panicked or risk, you're worried you might be at risk of any of those involuntary collections, our Essential members are able to receive expert guidance on the best programs to get you back on track. That is exactly why they're there. Again, as you saw, deciding between loan rehabilitation or loan consolidation and the implications and what is actually an option for you to choose either way. Those are all things that our expert support team can help provide you guidance with, but it's also something that we can ensure and help work with you to make sure you actually do bring that loan back into good standing. The loan rehabilitation is a 9-month long process, right? A lot can go wrong with that. So that's where Savi can come in to ensure that you're able to stay on track and reach that finish line. And once you complete that rehabilitation and those loans go back into good standing, you're then able to enroll in income-driven repayment plans and take advantage of public service loan forgiveness and receive other federal loans or grants. So again, no concern is too big or too small for our team right now. That's exactly what we excel in and why we're here. All right, so just a few final thoughts here to sort of sum things up. The biggest tip that I can provide for all of you going forward, and this has been the case, for a while, is being proactive, especially in this environment. You want to make sure that you understand where you are right now and what, if anything, you might need to do next. Okay. Again, because the news is constantly changing, there's no way of telling what 2 months, let alone 6 months forward may bring. So taking it step by step is the most, I would say, the best way that you can attempt to approach this situation and having student loans. With that said, in addition to taking steps to identify your status and know from there whether or not you're going to need to rehabilitate or consolidate your loans, or even trying to make sure that that delinquency doesn't turn into a default, that's where, again, Savi can come in. And our team is mobilized right now in helping those people with essential or pro accounts who've reached out and need assistance in getting them on track. The other thing in being proactive is protecting and securing your student loan information, downloading copies of your statements and student loan data, any communications you have, and uploading those into Savi. I'm going to show you in just a second here a new feature, a file upload feature, where you can actually upload any of those documents right to your Savi account for safekeeping. This allows us to help you if there should be any issues in the future. You're not able to access something, your loans have moved from one servicer to another, and there's no repayment history. These are all important elements of protecting yourself as a student loan borrower. And we now have a place within your Savi dashboard where you can basically upload all of those for safekeeping in one place, and so that our team can review, if necessary, anything that you may have received or seen. These can even be screenshots of your servicer account or anything else like that. Again, you can upload those for safekeeping into your Savi account. Last but not least, staying up to date as best as you can. I know there's an element of this where, it'd be ideal if we could ignore some of this news. I know personally, it seems like it's fatiguing at this point. It's just a lot every day, and it's hard to follow, especially if you have normal lives and are not living and breathing student loan debt like I am and my colleagues are. All to say, given some of these things and the challenges and implications that borrowers might face as a result, it's important to not miss these major developments. And the great news is you're here because you received, that invitation from Savi, because you received our communications, and we will continue to communicate with you about anything and everything that is important and that might impact you. So you can rely on Savi to be your trusted source of information. If there is something that you should be doing or that might impact you, we will be the ones to communicate it to you. So that is our role, and we will continue to play that role. And we will continue to do even more. And that means advocating on your behalf and monitoring every aspect of this system to be able to provide you with the most accurate and up-to-date information. To help you stay informed, we send our policy updates, our state of student debt updates, our breaking news policy updates, again, to ensure you have that recent information at your fingertips. We are always advocating for borrowers and making sure everyone has access to affordable repayment and forgiveness options. And that's exactly what I was doing yesterday on behalf of all of you, and will continue to do that going forward. We'll notify you of any potential impacts specific to your situation based on information from your Savi account. So, for example, if you have a certain loan type or are enrolled in the SAVE plan and there's news on next steps for that SAVE plan, based on the information in your Savi account, we're able to detect that and send you even more helpful guidance going forward. So that's another reason why making sure your Savi account is fully up to date is really important. And if you need that one-on-one help, you have questions about what's going on, you can always contact our expert support team for that one-on-one assistance. If you've upgraded to the Savi Essential or Pro plans. So some next steps here that you can take. Again, accessing your Savi account, you can scan the QR code here to do so. Okay. You can access or log into your Savi account at buysavi.com, and we'll put that link in the chat if you already have a Savi account. Here's what you'll see as far as searching for that employer organization name. And from there, you can see the specific website or login that we'll be directing you to. So you can do it through that portal. Again, that's scanning that QR code that I just showed. And just as a reminder, we try to use technology to make this whole process as easy as possible. Instead of having to fill out these various applications, we have one application that we collect this information and then submit that on your behalf to the Department of Education to make sure that you get on the right track. So you can see your options and again, take advantage of that one-on-one support. Now, important to what I was speaking about earlier, this new feature that we've added, as a result of everything that's going on, we knew, borrowers have always been able to save with Savi. It's now important that they secure with Savi. So from your dashboard, when you log into your Savi account, you'll see here on the left side, this option for uploaded documents. You can click that, all right? And we will show you the different types and places of documents that we suggest uploading. And when you collect on each, it provides you with the instructions on how to access and download that, and then upload that to Savi. So all of that is provided within that feature. So this includes your student loan data file that's accessible on studentaid.gov. This is the full official record of any and all federal loans you have received, payment history, loan status, etc. It's all on that file. Also, the master promissory note. This is something that you received when you took out the student loans at the beginning. This is almost like a legal document that outlines what you are afforded to and programs that you by law are given access to when those loans were taken out. Qualifying payment count letter for public service loan forgiveness. Again, this will be a letter that was either emailed or sent to you to borrowers who have submitted an employment certification form. And then this catch-all other loan documentation. Any loan correspondent documents, statements, screenshots, what have you. They can be PDFs, PNGs, JPEGs, whatever is easiest, you can upload it there. Again, should an issue arise in the future, or should there be, things that are taken down on studentaid.gov, or let's say borrowers don't have access to that anymore if the student loan portfolio moves to another agency, you'll no longer be able to access those vital documents that are the true record of your loan history and payments. And as we all know, those are important in determining what you are eligible for and how much progress you've made towards certain forgiveness programs. So these are really important things. And again, we encourage you to secure those and upload those into your Savi account for safekeeping. They also allow our support team to be able to provide further assistance by looking in real time and seeing what you're receiving from your student loan servicers. And again, you can always upgrade at any time to Essential or Pro. If you feel like you need that additional one-on-one support, especially at a time like this, I know the implications of these situations and the consequences are serious. We are not trying to scare people. These are serious consequences that are now turning back on after being paused for a very long time. And many borrowers, about 5.8 million borrowers are currently in default. And they expect that number will double by the end of May. So we really want to try to help and prevent this from happening and get loans back into good standing for anyone that needs to do so. It is, it can be scary and overwhelming, and that's exactly why we're here. And last but not least, the best part I know for so many of you about having access to Savi is having access to our customer support team, four of which are on the call here today, been diligently answering your questions in the Q&A. I think it looks like we've gotten over, 200, 300 come through. So if we didn't get to your question, that I hope you understand, and we encourage you to direct those questions through your Savi account. We have an incredible help center with tons of great content and resources. You can reach out to, even Dylan, Katie, and Rafa, Ryan, who you're talking here today, through your Savi account on live chat. That's live chat with a human. That's not AI or a chatbot. You're actually speaking with some of our folks that are on this town hall right now as we speak, or message our team if you need additional help. We also have a telephone number that you're able to use as well, and you can see that number from your Savi account. So again, just to recap here, accessing your Savi account, making sure that you've identified what state your loan is in on studentaid.gov. We will send you a recap from today's town hall as well as the recording. But as always, the important takeaway here is this: you have a help lifeline and resource, an advocate, a support system here at Savi. You are not alone in having to navigate any of this. So we encourage you, if you are concerned, if you're not sure what to do, you think you may be in default, or you're in default, right now we want to make sure we're of assistance to you and for you. And for anyone else, again, Savi is always accessible for any repayment and forgiveness needs, as well as any issues you might be experiencing in navigating all of this. So we appreciate everyone for joining us here today. Let's see, we had almost about 1,000 people on. So I know that this collections news has definitely been one that stirred a lot of people to take action, and if anything, that is a good thing. Now and can protect yourself. I encourage you to download and upload your documentation into Savi as a starting place. But we will be continuing to communicate to all of you on any and all updates. We appreciate you taking the time to join, and any feedback on how we can do better and provide more for all of you is always appreciated. So with that, we will close things out. And if we didn't get to your questions, please feel free to continue that conversation over in your Savi account. A big, big thank you to Ryan and his team, Dylan, Katie, and Rafa, who have been incredible in answering as many questions as they can. And you can continue to access and work with them over in your Savi account going forward. We hope everyone has a great rest of the day or evening, and thanks again for joining us.